Darby Wright versus Darby. And ma'am, I'll try to speak up. If you don't hear me, then just raise your hand and I'll repeat it. Okay?
I heard that.
Okay. All right. I'm loud enough, man. All right. Your grandmother wants you out of her house. How old are you?
20 years old, Your Honor.
How long has she been asking you to leave?
Not really asked me to leave, asked me to do better, Your Honor.
What do you mean by do better? What does she mean?
Stop. Well, it's not really a video game, just I can do way better as in like get my diploma. I ain't finished school, Your Honor.
So you didn't finish school?
No, sir.
Why?
Your Honor, that's a good question.
I know it's a good question. I want an answer. Why didn't you finish school?
That's a great question.
Give me a great answer. Why didn't you finish school? Look, young man, let me just tell you right now.
I understand that.
Don't listen to me.
Yes, sir.
You can sit there and disrespect your grandma.
Yes, sir.
You're in my house now. Do not disrespect me.
So I think the judge is kind of misunderstanding this kid's intention a little bit. I think he sees a lot of really unruly and delinquent kids that indeed do come into his courtroom and be disrespectful and try to play that S, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think the kid just genuinely doesn't know how to answer the question. Like, he doesn't have a good answer as to why he didn't, finish school. Beyond one that's just, I didn't feel like going anyways. Ugh. It's so sad to see these kids drop out at the 11th hour like that. Like, when you drop out in 11th or 12th grade, you're so close to the finish line. Like, why give up? Like, you're almost done. Why give up then? Like, you've gone through 11, 12 years putting in this work towards finishing school to give up that close to the finish line. It's silly. Like, you're so close. Just finish. I will say that I think kids today have it different than us millennials did, and very different from the baby boomer generation. A lot of people are probably quick to just lump them into, oh, kids today are lazy, or kids today just don't get it. And, you'll see that with any generation. That's pretty consistent. Boomers thought that about the millennials, and millennials now think that about Gen Zers. That'll never change. That's something that's time immemorial. It's just part of growing up and adults thinking that you're lazy and you don't get it, and they're partly right and you're partly right for judging them for assuming that. They said the same thing about us when I was in high school in the early 2000s. I feel like we ask so much of these kids at a really young age. They're basically making a very important decision that will control the rest of their life, and their brains haven't even fully developed to make that decision yet. Like, once they actually go out and get that college degree in whatever major they choose, they might have a completely different outlook on life, and their interests might be totally different because their brain has physically changed. They are not the same person they were when they were in high school. And now they're stuck with this degree that they might not even care about anymore. Nowadays, it's so hard just to get by or make a living. They have it a lot harder than we did in some ways. They have it a lot easier in some too. I know a lot of you are probably yelling at your screen right now. But, with the addition of the internet, it's just like our culture and our society is just so different than what it was for some of us. There are so many ways you can make money if you just apply yourself. I mean, especially on the internet. Look at this YouTube channel, right? It's just a hobby for me. But if I didn't have a job and I could apply myself full time to it, I wouldn't make nearly as much as I do in my career. But a meager sum at least would be more than what this kid is doing. We'll come to find out at least. There's nothing stopping this kid from doing that. They do say that most kids nowadays stay at home until like their mid-20s. Like, that's really kind of the barrier for entry. That's kind of just the way things are nowadays. And honestly, that's okay depending on their situation. You know, I almost always recommend when I meet kids that are in high school that they just take a year off once they graduate and kind of just work for a while to get some experience working a full-time job, you know, rather than just making a hastily forced decision about what major you're going to pick for the rest of your life. Go out there and get some experience, you know, find out what you're good at, and more importantly, what you're passionate about. You know, you might not like working the cash register at Burger King, but you could end up really liking the customer service side of that job, and you know, get into human resources or any other career that deals with people. Or you know, you did really well at it and got into a managerial position, and then you know, decide that corporate business is something you're fascinated in, and you know, decide you want to go get a business degree, and you know, God forbid you would have gone to art school if you had picked right out of high school. You know, not only does it give you time to learn what's important to you and what you will actually want to do from the on boots on the ground, you know, you've actually gotten your hands dirty and gotten some experience, which you'll also need nowadays. Most jobs, they want a collegiate background, but they also want to see work experience to know that you can physically show up every day. That's a big plus nowadays. Going to apply for like a real career is, hey, I worked at this crappy job for 3 years, so I'm not going to go anywhere when the going gets tough. And like I said, it gives them time to weigh that decision and also learn how to be self-accountable and take care of yourself, and like I said, show up every day. These are skills that this man, or this boy, I should say, desperately needs. And you know, obviously I'm putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but I just wanted to address this, and you know, we'll find out more about that shortly. I'll stop talking. Sorry.
If I ask you a question, you better give me an answer. You understand me?
Yes, Your Honor.
She's got to love you. I don't.
Yes, sir.
Now, why didn't you finish school?
I would say I'm a failure, Your Honor, but now I would say, Your Honor, I probably around that time our granddad had passed, and I didn't really enjoy going to school, but I still was doing it. And
What grade did you drop out?
probably like 11, Your Honor. 12, Your Honor.
You don't even know how far you got. Grandma, how long have you been raising him? Since 10? How long has he been with you?
Since he was off and on since he was 6 years old. He'd go back to the other grandmother in Baltimore and then come with me. But he is in the 12th grade, and I don't know why he didn't finish. He could have finished up there at the Wave School. He could have finished. Yeah, it's like 12A, something like. I mean, it's not A and B like Baltimore, but he was in the second part of the 12th grade. He could have been graduating this past summer. Last year, he could have graduated. And when I ask him questions, he would say that he didn't have to answer because he's grown.
Man, where are you from originally?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
Where I was born.
Okay.
I lived in several states. Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. That's right. You can stop there. All right. Because how long were you in Baltimore?
A few years. I mean, I was living there a couple of years, and I went to college. But I went to college in Huntsville, Alabama.
What college?
Oakwood College in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, I know.
Oakwood
Okay.
University now.
Okay.
And I live in different states, so I may have a different speech for every state. I don't know.
No, I'll tell you something. You said Baltimore, and you said it right. I lived in Baltimore. I'm a University, that's where I got my law degree. Love that city. So, okay. Young man, you raised your hand. What do you want to say?
Your Honor, he said I was in 12th grade, but I don't think I was in 12th grade, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Okay. Maybe you don't understand the point.
I respect you, Your Honor.
What?
I respect you, Your Honor, 100%. But some things that she says, Your Honor, like she's a smart woman, yes. But it's just not, like the words are just not right, Your Honor.
What words aren't just right? That she went to college in Baltimore? Or did you not drop out of school? Like, barely anything has even been said yet. What do you... You're not doing yourself any favors here, bruh.
Like, if my sister was here, basically, like, my sister got a great job, etc. We was literally just talking before we came here. We literally came together, Your Honor. This is not as bad as it seemed, Your Honor.
What do you mean it's not as bad as it seems?
Honestly, this is my first time being in a courtroom, Your Honor. So I feel like I could put it as like jet lag when like you ask me some questions, Your Honor, because I know that you always gotta respect the judge, Your Honor. And that's a fact. And I know that this is your courtroom, 100%, Your Honor. I would not lie to you.
Look at that face palm. Oh my gosh, that is like the deepest of all face palms. Judge Simpson must be a dad, because I am getting straight just, I don't know what to do with you vibes. Oh god. This kid, he is, yeah. He's floundering this. His case is going down the tubes right now. He's crippling any defense he might have. Torpedoing his own case.
But she just now said, when she said she would ask me questions, Your Honor, and say I don't gotta answer them because I'm grown, that's so false, Your Honor.
When's the last time you had a job?
Maybe around last year, Your Honor.
Last year?
Yeah.
What time? When? When?
I honestly don't know when, Your Honor. I stay up. Some days I don't even look at the time.
Um,
Oh my God,
Yes, ma'am.
may I speak about his jobs that he's had?
Yes, ma'am.
Please, his sister got him some jobs at, what's the one where you cook the food, not to cook, but you eat food? Subway. He worked at Subway. He worked there pretty long time, but the boss was keep cutting his days, he said. Then he worked at a place. I think it was just temporary. And he was only there about 2 weeks. And so then he didn't have that anymore. He had a job working out in the cutting grass and all that. And then one day he told me he was set up and didn't go back to work. So I don't know what that meant. He was set up. And he had a job working at the car company place where he enjoyed working as a mechanic. But the guy wanted him to wear a uniform that had been hanging in the bathroom. And he didn't want to wear the uniform because he couldn't take it home and wash it. So he didn't go back to that job. Then the job he had at the filling station, I don't know the details about that. He said he said he had the room, the place where they store stuff nice and stacked up nicely. And she came in there complaining and didn't like how he stacked it up nicely. And so he didn't go back to that job either. So he keeps jobs a few while when he gets about 2 paychecks, and then he didn't go back to the job.
Okay, these are major red flags. First of all, the Subway thing. I've worked fast food, and 9 times out of 10, they are understaffed because people filter in and out of those minimum wage positions, so much so that they can't keep good employees. The only people who get their days cut are the ones who aren't doing much when they're there anyways, and they don't want them there. And then, the quote-unquote he was set up claim, that's another red flag. Like, I've heard people say this before, and, come to find out, they're totally just reading into the situation too much, and the only setup is the one they've created in their head. But like, let's say even for a minute that it's true. Why is your employer setting you up to fire you? That's even more evidence this guy was a shitty employee. The only people who get set up are the ones they want gone. And finally, this uniform thing, like, he's just being high maintenance at that point. Those mechanics, they get filthy. Like that jumpsuit or whatever they wear, it probably was clean. It's just like they get so much dirt and oil and crud. Like, you're only going to get so much of that out by tossing that thing in the laundry. And like, what's the big deal anyways? If you're going to be working there, you're going to get dirty. So what does the thing matter if it's dirty? This is very indicative of somebody who bad employee. That's what this screams. Is this guy sucks at working. It's he's young. I guess that's kind of fair. But when everybody around them, whether it's work or friends or family, when everybody around them is cutting ties and the person just reports the whole time that everybody else is crazy, it kind of like makes your bullshit radar go up. Like, how are they not able to see the only common denominator between all these different people and all these different businesses was you? Like, at a certain point, it's just law of probabilities. You aren't statistically capable of being unfairly cut off that many times. Like, clearly you are fixing the numbers somehow. You're fixing the game. You're gaining the system by being a nightmare that nobody else wants to deal with. So much so that even his grandma wants him out. Like, that is rough. That's impressive, bro. Grammys will spoil you to death. Literally and figuratively. This kid must truly be a fucking bum. You're a bum. Get a job, you bum.
And so I started thinking about that. I said, this young man, I know he was young, and you get a lot of jobs when you're young. Maybe 4 or 5 or 6. I don't know how many jobs you get before you become mature. But I started thinking about that. And he likes to play his games on those video games all day and half the night. And that was his job, doing that, playing games. So I think he enjoyed. I know that a lot of people enjoy playing those games, but they probably have a job and go to work and come and play games after work. But he didn't. He couldn't keep in his jobs, and he was playing those games all day. And then one last thing, this is kind of just not too nice, but I had him cutting the grass, and I liked it trimmed a certain way. He did it for a while, and he knew how to do it. But then one day, he up and tells me, I think you better get somebody else to cut the grass. Get somebody else, and I'm paying him money. I mean, not because I was paying to be nice for cutting his own grass and my grass. And he says, because he didn't like the way I kept telling him to do cut around that and cut around the other. I think you better get yourself somebody else. Not in a nasty way, but he didn't cut anymore. So I got somebody else to cut the grass.
Oh boy, Simpson ain't gonna like that one. Yeah, you gotta cut Grammy's grass, dude. Especially if you're living there, that's like the least you can do, man, is cut that dang grass. Yeah, this is not a good look. Like, just do it the way she wants, man. It can't be that fucking difficult. Yeah. This is brutal. I tried to be in this kid's corner coming into this, but this is yikes.
So, and then I thought about it. But this young man here, sleeping, eating, doing everything he can do, and I got to get somebody else to cut the grass. So anyway, and then when he turned 20, I have some older cousins, a gal who has 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. He's 80-some years old now. He says, you don't let no young man stay at home at the house because they get too comfortable and it won't leave. It's a difference between the girls. You can't just put them out because they're vulnerable, and things can happen to them. But a young man, 20 years old, not thinking about getting out, scared, I guess he's scared to get out in life. I don't know. But 20 years old, most guys are out when they're 16 or 17 on their own. But he likes to stay home. I don't know why.
Okay, I just want to say that just because he stays home and plays video games all day does not mean that he's a bum. The staying at home part isn't really the issue here. You can be a respectful man that stays home. I mean, shit, I work from home all day, every day. You know, beyond taking my dogs out for a walk, I barely get out there myself. I get she's from a different generation, so she probably doesn't understand it, and there's a stigma there. But, you know, somebody that stays in and plays video games does not mean that they're not a good person or they have no value. He could set up an account on Twitch and play games to his heart's content. But, you know, that would require work and him to build and get good at something and learn a craft, which he's clearly not willing to do. Shit, his grandma would probably be proud of him if he did that. He'd be making a little money, you know, he's making the best out of an ideal situation. He's growing something, he's building something. It's essentially entrepreneurship. You know, I'll tell you, just because you're out of the house doesn't mean you're a good person or you're living a respectable life. I had to learn that lesson the painful way. I was running around working 2 jobs, getting high every day, or, you know, getting drunk with my friends, and that made me a bum. And, you know, I was almost never home. I basically just came home to shower or sleep, and that was pretty minimal as it was. It took me getting straightened out and maturing a little bit, and for me to grow personally to realize that, you know, that really wasn't the issue, you know. Staying at home was how I turned my life around. I had bad friends, I barely scraped by at work. I was just leading a bad life. And, you know, I was able to turn around, and now I'm living my best life from home. You know, I spend all my days with my dog right next to me. He's my best friend. I have a career that I'm excelling and progressing at. I have this YouTube thing as a hobby that's introduced me to a lot of people and made some great friends on the internet. You know, I like I said, I barely leave the house, and I'm in such a better place compared to when I was just running around getting up to trouble, basically. So there you go. I wanted to say that just because someone spends all their days playing video games does not mean they're a bum. But in fact, a bum can certainly stay at home all day and play video games.
He didn't know. Well, he don't like why I like to stay home. And he's not mean or anything, but we know that his age, his race, and he needs to be out of that house. And a lot of the men hanging around with the ladies doing nothing, and the ladies taking care of the man. He needs to be out of the house and taking care of himself. We're trying to get him to go to Job Corps. He says, what do you think about Job Corps? He doesn't want to go to Job Corps. That's a place for the start, I believe. You can go to Job Corps, and they will give you a job when you get finished, and you can get skills. Once you get an auto mechanic, they give you skills and everything. He said, I ain't going to Job Corps. So I don't know what else he can do except go to Job Corps and learn some skills and learn how to take care of himself. And then when you leave there, they will find you a place to stay and give you a job. And I think he can go until he's 21. Mm-hmm. When he's 21, I don't think you can go anymore. After 21, they won't take you. But he's 20, he can go.
So in all of that, young man, tell me something she said that was wrong.
Your Honor, when I mentioned my granddad passed away about the jobs, I was working, literally working. Even if I put a game on, I'm still making money, etc. But about the job situation where actually I'm getting a legal job and making a set pay, like pay that's confirmed. Say, you know, we live in Michigan, Your Honor. All the warehouse jobs and all the good jobs, 20 miles out. 15 to 20 miles out. All my jobs were period for warehouse jobs that was 20 miles out, Your Honor.
So work the crappy job, save up enough to get a car, and then apply for the good job. This is not fucking rocket science, man. Even when I was working at a job that I hated, I never quit until I had a better job lined up. Oh, I just want to fucking shake this kid. Ugh!
What takes me to work? Yes. Oh, my granddad was alive. he passed now. He said, or I don't know, it was either one of them, that my job could not be more than 10 miles out. So the last job that I had, so I couldn't get no more warehouse jobs, Your Honor, because they would not take me there. Not that they would not take me there. They said my job should be 10 miles out. So I respected it. I would look for jobs that was 10 miles in. That's how I got that oil job, etc. Then after the oil job was the real job, Your Honor.
You know
I
what?
know my story sounds biased.
No, yeah, I'm just saying. You are a grown man in your grandmother's house.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't have a job. Don't have an education. She has to come to the court. She's asked you to leave, and she has to come to court to ask you to get you out of her house.
I don't really think she asked me to leave, Your Honor.
Well, she has now.
I understand that.
So when are you getting out of your grandmother's house? Because you're not doing her any good. She has not asked anything of you that you can't do. If you put your mind to it, you can go back and get your education. If you put your mind to it, you can get a job. And if you got a job that's more than 10 miles out, that's just an excuse. Because if you got to get there and she can't drive you, you start hoofing it. You get to your job. She has not asked. Everything that she said is not anything you can't do. You just don't want to do it. So if you don't want to do it, she is just not asking that much of you.
You're right, Your Honor.
Oh, I know I'm right. Ma'am, let me ask you. If he did these things, would you let him stay?
I want him to leave because he needs to grow up.
Got it.
I don't want him
Okay.
to stay because they always compare their father, because they said I ruined their father. And if he stays in my house, he's going to say I'm ruining him. So they blame me for the men that say that my house, my son and him. And I'm not really, I don't mind being blamed, but I know that not to tell him the truth. But he needs to be out on his own,
Okay.
learning some skills, learning something.
Gosh, it's such a tightrope you have to walk as a parent. Like, what's the right answer here? You wanna help him. You wanna help the kid, and if he does get his ass together, him having to go pay rent somewhere, it's just gonna make his life harder. But at the same time, like, if he's not prepared to face that reality, she's an old woman. Like, what's he gonna do when she's gone? It's like you want to teach him that lesson, but at the same time, he's your kid. You want to give him as many legs up as he can get in society. Ugh. Thank God I don't have kids. I don't think I'd be able to do it. I honestly don't think I could, As much as I try to teach that lesson of you got to go out and get it on your own and learn to earn things for yourself, I think, my overall instinctive parental nature would just kick in and I can fix them, Good on her for having the foresight to see, look, this is going to be hard, and he's going to have probably a rough few months, maybe even a rough couple years, but he'll be much better off in the long run because he's not being, he legit thinks he is this is entitlement is what this comes down to. He literally feels as if he is entitled to room and board and probably food. It's funny how quick people forget that all these things cost money and add up. It's really easy to just fall into complacency when somebody else is paying the bills and just get comfortable and, just assume that the paper towel fairy, as you end up hearing here pretty soon, is just restocking that roller. No, somebody's buying that. I think she's making the right call here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What would you do? Would you, let's say hypothetically he gets into the Job Corps or does find a job. Do you keep him around to try to guide him the right way in life, or you gonna put your foot down and even when he does get the job, say, "That's great, now get an apartment"? Let me know. I'm interested. Tell me what you do down in the comments.
And I wrote in my letter that I wrote to the court, the
Mhm.
men in that family seem to stay home a lot. One of them has skills. He has an uncle that has automatic skills, taught him a lot about auto mechanics. Those men are always at home, always home doing nothing after they, work for a while. So we want him to be on his own, get a job, and be self-secure, not depending on somebody else. I'm 80 years old. He can't depend on me too long. His sister is 22. She's not going to take care of him. His mother is deceased a long time ago. His daddy, I don't know where my son is in Baltimore. So we want him to be self-sufficient, a young man. We're not mad at him, but I can see that he likes those video games day in and day out, talking to the people, screaming and yelling at the people who's playing games with. You think he's talking to somebody right there next to him. So that's what he likes to do. And that's terrible to do that all day. I mean, not all day, but half today and half tonight. He needs some skills to take care of himself and the family if he ever has one.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got to say?
I just want to answer. Who is we?
Excuse me?
Who is we?
I can't understand, but I can't hear
Who
you.
is we?
We,
Yeah.
Diamond and me, his sister. His sister has had several jobs and she got him a job and she works now. She has a full-time job as a police officer. And well, the women in that family seem to keep jobs, get jobs. His uncle, who has two daughters, they both went to, they did, I think, Army, and one did the other. Self-sufficient. The men in that family, they don't take care of themselves very long. His uncle now, who's at home with his mother because she's sick, but I heard him say at least 10 years ago, I'll never leave my mother. And he didn't. He's taking care of her now, but she's kind of sick. But they don't go out, they stay home too long.
What do you want to say?
Your Honor, she said my sister. I literally was just now talking to my sister about this situation because she was in the crib when I was in court. Well, in the Zoom. And also, all the people she's comparing to, Your Honor, are drug addicts. Drug addicts. I am not no drug addict, Your Honor.
Okay.
Plus,
So,
my
look,
sister was literally just talking to me about possibly going to military, golf course, etc. And I said I'm willing to do that. But they are on reach out because I don't have my diploma, Your Honor.
I know because you didn't stay in school. So, when are you leaving?
That's the thing, Your Honor.
No. Maybe I'm phrasing
Your
this
Honor,
like
I
this is an
understand.
option.
I understand you 1,000%, Your Honor. I respect you.
I don't care whether you respect me. I asked you a question. When are you leaving?
I don't know how to answer that, Your Honor. Like,
Okay, then I'm going to give you 10 days. Maybe you don't understand this. So let me make it real clear. If I give your grandmother a judgment, which I'm going to give her, it's going to say 10 days. You're not out in 10 days. She's going to file another piece of paper with the court called an order of eviction or a writ. I'm going to sign it. At that point, you're on borrowed time. And on that point, Phil, if you don't leave, there will be sheriffs showing up to take you out. Yeah. What do you want to ask?
she just now said my sister has a great job, Your Honor. My sister, I don't even have to speak about my sister, but the conversation I literally just had with my sister was that my nana, she was saying my nana don't care if I do all them things, Your Honor. And I stopped doing some of the things that she said stop doing. As long as I I do better, get my diploma, etc., go to job course, military, etc., Nana wouldn't care. But since they are not here, and my sister has a big influence over what my Nana thinks because she's older, and like she said, she has a good job, etc., this conversation on her went purely down the drain.
Okay. So when are you leaving?
Oh man, that was savage. You just ran right through him like you said nothing at all. You hit him with the old fucking cool story, bro. So when you gonna get up out of there? To be fair, even if his sister was there, like, what could she possibly say? She wouldn't even be able to chime in. This is a court hearing, not like a family meeting. Simpson is a good dude. You know, I bet if the sister asked him to speak, he'd probably even hear her out. But I sincerely doubt it would have changed anything. And, you know, furthermore, if she's a cop, she's probably got a pretty good head on her shoulders. And she probably would understand that him growing up and getting on with his life is best for everybody. Not just Graham, but him too. You know, maybe the sister would be worried to some extent that it'd fall upon her to take care of him, but this needs to happen. I think everybody understands that. This needs to happen, clearly. This kid is fundamentally misinformed of how the world works. He is in for a rude awakening. And he's up there arguing with the judge like he can just, like, change his mind and just go back home and play video games for the rest of his life. Like, get fucking real. The judge is pretty stern about this, too. Like, you could trot Dr. Phil out there and tell Graham she's a monster. He's still gonna rule in her favor. Pretty much had his mind made up at this point. I mean, it's for his own good. Sometimes tough love may not feel like the best route, but it's the ones who care about us the most are the only ones that are actually prepared to give us tough love when we need it. The truth hurts, man. Believe me, I know that better than anybody. But sometimes, like, the people closest to us and the ones who really love us are the only ones that are able to give us that truth.
I got 10 days on. How do you say goals?
Oh, I know.
One thing they like to make a lot of money, but they didn't have any skills to make the money. He also wants to tell the people what to do. He tells the bosses. He doesn't listen to them. He thinks he should tell them what to do. And I try to tell him, no, you don't tell bosses what to do. I ain't doing that or whatever. I don't know how he says it. But you can't tell a boss what to do when he's paying you money. I mean, that's your job. You got to do what the boss says to do. But I mean, I don't hate my grandson.
I know.
But I know I want him out of that house to do something for himself, because I can see him. Who is he going to lean on? His other grandmother is very, very ill. I'm not ill yet, but who knows when? Sister's not gonna take. I don't know who's gonna lean on.
What do you want to say?
The stuff she's saying about my job, Your Honor, she does not know the truth about my job, Your Honor. She's going off based off what she thinks, Your Honor. A lot of stuff she's saying, it honestly don't even matter, Your Honor. Like, I lost this conversation when I walked in the door. That's a fact. Because of the conversation I had with my sister, that I know influences what my nana thinks, is entirely different than how this conversation just now went on. Entirely different. I know I lost.
And one last thing.
Yes, ma'am.
One last thing. When we told him that we had to put him out, well, not we, but me, then he said he's going to kill himself. So I don't know why he wants to kill himself. That's a coward's way out of doing something. killing yourself. What for? You've been treated with kindness. Nobody's been beating you up in the head, killing you. We only ask you to get a job and, to find go to Job Corps to get yourself together, help yourself. And he says he could put out of the house, he's gonna kill himself. So I hope he don't find him in his room dead.
Yeah.
What she said about only wants me to get a job course, etc. If I get put out, how am I going to be able to do any of that, Your Honor? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
That's going to be your own business.
You're right.
I mean, the problem is well, no, you think you've grown. I mean, I don't think you've grown at all. Because if you're grown, you'd have an education, you'd have a job, you'd be doing for yourself. This wouldn't be an issue because if you had to get out on your own, you could do it. Right now, the problem for you is you're going to get put out. You have nowhere to go. You haven't set yourself up for life to try to deal with it and have any skills or anything to be able to survive necessarily on your own. That's your problem. But that's not her problem. That's yours. She doesn't have to keep you there. Maybe. And I'm just listening to you today, even as you address your grandma. I addressed my grandmother the way that you did, I would be picking myself up off the floor. No, I'm done with you right now. Because see, you play this respect thing in terms of what you say, but you don't really respect her. Because if you would have I don't even know how to say this to you, that you don't there is no way any man I know who's living with his grandmother or his grandmother is nearby, if she needs a lawn cut, wants it cut a certain way, wouldn't just do it. She would never have to hire anybody else. Ever. You don't do that because you like it. You do that out of respect for her. She's asked you to go to school, get your diploma. Talk about liking school, doing this. It doesn't matter if you like it. You just go to school out of respect, get your diploma for yourself, but out of respect for her. What do you want to say?
I got like two things, but at the same time I was going to school, Your Honor, I was working too. When I work a lot of hours. But also when I got paid, I would give her some money, Your Honor. And when the thing about the lawn, I would cut the lawn, Your Honor. She knows I tell her over 1,000 times, if she asks me to do something, I would do it. She claims that she can't ask me to do things, but every time, for example, she got a new computer, she won't ask me to help her set the computer up, and she want to give me 2 candy bars to help. Like she had 2 candy bars sitting where I was sat at the table, just for helping her set up a computer, Your Honor. Knowing that I literally control the Wi-Fi in the house. I help set up everything, put up a light bulb, do anything manly, I do, Your Honor. I paint the steps, etc. Everything. Painting this picture like I would not do the manly things in the house.
I don't even know what that means. Because you can do everything.
You're right, Your Honor. But when it comes to even the cutting grass, that's what I don't know. But she said, go cut the grass. I would cut the grass in a heartbeat, Your Honor. That's a fact. That's a perfect. He paint a picture of me like I'm the type of person.
Young man, why are we here then?
Right here because the whole thing about me getting put out, Your Honor, was probably in 2020 or like December when I was smoking marijuana, Your Honor.
In her house?
No, I never smoked in her house, Your Honor. She could just smell it.
Was she on her Were you on her property?
I mean, yes.
What? Okay, then that's a problem. If she doesn't like it,
Yes.
you don't get to do it. That's just the way it works. That's just the way it works. Until you pay the mortgage, you can't say anything. I know. So that's what upsets her. Guess what? You don't get to do it. I don't understand how it all came about that you think you get to control anything in her house.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that right? Yeah.
I don't think that, Your Honor.
Oh, I think you do.
It's the image that you see that she explains, Your Honor.
No, it's also what you said. So don't try to play victim that somehow or another I had my mind made up. I don't have my mind made up. I do this every day. I listen to everybody and what they're saying. So don't try to play your little victim game with me. That all of a sudden she's saying this and everybody's just buying into whatever. I'm listening to what she's saying.
I'm not a victim. I played a victim.
Yes, you are. You're trying to say she's saying all this bad stuff about me. She's saying this. She doesn't know the truth about this. She doesn't know the truth about this. Well, then you need to pick yourself up, put yourself someplace where you can do it. She's just mad at me because I was smoking marijuana in her house or on her property. Yes, ma'am.
When I said about him, that's the only thing about cutting the grass. He said about to find somebody else, but he usually does things I ask him to do around the house without mouth. He'll do things, but that's not the point. My point here is not that he doesn't do things around the house. My point is he needs to grow up on his own.
Oh, I know.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Not that he doesn't do anything around the house when he got tired of cutting the grass, but my point is he needs to be out of there on his own because he's going to stay there forever. I saw on TV years ago where this man, 40-some years old, still at home, parents had to put him out. He didn't want to leave. 40 years old. He's 16. And he doesn't, I mean, he's skinny, but he eats a lot. Using more paper towels than the paper towel store. Everything he does, he washes his hands. His hands are cleaner than his feet, cleaner than his mouth. I think he washes a whole roll of paper towels. And so when he gets money, sometimes I tell him to buy some things. He gets a few bucks sometimes playing these games. So I put down he has to buy paper towels, tissue paper, because he uses more paper towels, and he use a lot of water. So I had to start telling him he's gonna have to pay the water bill. I don't ask him to pay anything because he had a job and didn't make that much money. And so I didn't feel I needed to. But I mean, the point is I want him to go and be on his own. That's my real thing here. He needs to be out of there because I can't get him out. He doesn't go out of the house except to do something for me. He stays in that house 24/7, doing nothing but playing those games half the time. But he'll do it, take out the garbage. He'll wash the dishes after a while. He'll clean up his room.
So he cleans up after himself? Like every other human being in the fucking world? I would hope the fuck so. Jesus. This lady is like gotta be pushing 70. Can you imagine if she was taking care of him too? Ugh. This poor woman, man.
But that's not my problem. I mean, the point, I want him out of there to be on his own, because that's
All right.
what I'm looking at. So
Well,
I'm tired of folks blaming me for me and my family doing nothing. I'm the blame.
well, you're gonna get your wish. I'm gonna grant judgment to the plaintiff, finding that there's no tribal issue.
Get the fuck out!
An order of eviction or writ will issue April 24th, 2023. You got 10 days, young man. Figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you for playing. Don't forget to tip your waitresses and don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Do not pass go and do not collect $200. Jesus. Well, there you have it, folks. What'd you think? What would you have done? You know, do you try and keep them around so you can at least kind of monitor what's going on with them and try and push them in the right direction, prevent him from going down the wrong path, or do you thrust him into the world to fend for himself? I'll tell you, that's the quicker way to learn. The sink or swim method, thrown to the dogs. It is a dog-eat-dog world. I think they made the right call, but, you know, let me know in the comments. I'll tell you what. If you think she should have given him some more time, leave a 1 or a 1 emoji in the comments. If you think they did the right thing and he needs to leave within 10 days, leave just a 2 in the comments, and we'll tally them up, and I'll pin a comment as to what everybody's opinion is, but I'm curious. Alright, well, this was fun, guys. Just a quick video. I thought this was fascinating. I had a lot of thoughts on it, so sorry if I talked a lot. I know people, you talk a lot, fucking like Daryl Brooks, whatever. You know, the original video's in the description. You can watch it without my chiming in. It's there for you, so. Alright, guys, keep an eye out. We're going to be recording a new Case Watch video this weekend, and I'm going to be editing the old one from last week as well, so keep an eye out for those things, and we will see you in the next video. Okay?